So it says you're being live streamed, but you're not quite yet.
Do we have the people in the background that we want to have in the background? And it says Richard White joined us yet?
Check.
He's here as an attendee. He hasn't been let into the room. I don't have privileges anymore.
Oh, are you not co-host still?
No, it completely took it away from me.
Well, I can fix that.
Yeah, good. Okay. Okay, are we ready to go?
Yes, you are streaming live on YouTube. And I see David. Oh, Councillor Kroll is over here in the attendees list. I'm promoting him.
Good.
Here he comes. But I do not see. Oh, thank you, Tracy, for moving Richard White over.
Okay.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the very first Committee of the Whole for 2022. There'll be many to follow, but you could say you were here first. We're being held electronically on July 11th, 2022, and we are honored once again to gather on this unceded territory of the Squamish Nation. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I have 3:01 on the calendar, on the clock, and Councillor Lumley is not with us today, but we do have Councillor D'Andrade, Councillor Ladwig, and Councillor Kroll, and myself, Mayor Beamish. So ask first of all from Council for approval of the agenda. Councillor Ladwig, Councillor D'Andrade, thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. Ask also that the Council receive all reports and presentations today. So Councillor Kroll, Councillor D'Andrade, thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. And we have a fairly light agenda. We'll see if we can keep it light and happy. But we're going to start off with Richard White. Welcome, Richard, from Assistant Fire Chief for the Gibson Volunteer Fire Department. And this is the 2021 fourth quarter report. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. And thank you for this opportunity to present today. First, I'd like to introduce myself and what's happened in the fire service. And I don't know if you're aware, but after a recent vacancy arose with the training officer classification, the fire department had some careful consideration was given to the operational requirements of the fire department. And now they've hired an assistant chief, which is a new position. And fortunately, I was offered the position, and I'm excited to take on the new role. Effective was December 31st, 2021.
Well, congratulations on that, and good to see you here. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Very excited. Just to give you a little bit of my background, my background includes 5 years working with the Justice Institute of British Columbia. I was a coordinator there for the Fire and Safety Division. And I also was a sessional instructor as well for them. Prior to that, I joined in the JIBC. I worked with the New Westminster Fire and Rescue Services. I worked there for 26 years, and my last posting there was as the Assistant Chief Training Officer. I'm very excited, and I believe the department here at Gibsons is pleased to retain me having the skills and talent that's required of an assistant chief for the department as we continue to evolve and grow.
And I see you've got the right haircut today. It's Councillor Kroll who's out of the sync here. Yeah. We'll take care of that in the next couple of years, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, it seems to be one of those things not of choice, but I'm wearing it loud and proud.
Yes.
Just a summary of what's gone on with the fire department. The Gibsons Fire Department currently has a total of 48 members, and this includes 4 new recruits that joined in late December. These recruits will spend the next several months going through a basic training program that we have, including the Justice Institute of British Columbia exterior program that's legislated through the provincial government that they're required to take. They'll do all of this before they start responding to calls. And over our last quarter here, the focus of our training for this quarter was we were emphasizing emergency vehicle operation, which includes pumps and pumping, and the first responders, medical, advancing hose lines, and marine firefighting. With the focus on emergency vehicle operation, we have 16 members that are now certified with the NFPA 1002. This is a standard for firefighter operation driver operator it's a professional qualification that our 16 members now have. The GDVFD responded to 91 calls for service in the fourth quarter of 2021, including a water vessel rescue, and the person needed medical attention. We had a fallen tree on a house, a motor vehicle incident requiring extrication, and we've had several burst water pipes. Many of the calls this quarter were related to the climate change and the erratic weather patterns that we had over this winter. On November 15th, the SCRD activated their Emergency Operations Center, which we call the EOC, and that was due to localized flooding in the region. Jordan Pratt, our Deputy Chief Emergency Management Coordinator, was assigned to various support roles while the fire department and other agencies dealt with the flooding. The EOC was able to coordinate a significant response to the event, with the water supply issues mitigated, evacuation alerts orders rescinded a short while later. The fire prevention team completed 36 fire and safety inspections. We conducted 8 referrals and conducted 3 fire investigations. The fire department participated in Fire Prevention Week last quarter, where the team visited the local elementary schools and set up an information booth at the mall. A local Girl Guide group called the Sparks was also able to visit the fire hall for a safety talk and tour. With the continued development in the town of Gibsons, the fire department was approached by a construction company. They're asking the fire department to be available for rescues of operations in a tower crane emergency. And unfortunately, the fire department is currently unable to perform this specialized skill, and we were unable to accommodate their request. It was determined that the training requirements required for volunteers to be readily available was too onerous at this time. Although the fire department members are fiercely dedicated individuals, it's not reasonable to expect this service from volunteer members. Fire department members assisted with the Tim Hortons Festival of Lights and the Elves Club fundraisers. The fire department members are pleased to support our local organizations with their fundraising efforts. The new initial attack vehicle arrived and is waiting some final training before placed into service. The request for proposal for volunteer health benefits was posted, and it has been evaluated by a cross-functional team, including human resources, purchasing, and the manager of protective services. However, there is still some policy and procedure developments required for this program, and so it's before it's ready to roll out. So it's almost there, not quite yet. Other projects are progressing, and the fire chief is actively preparing the budget document for R2 budget. And yeah, that's mostly what we have to report in our summary. And I'm happy to answer any questions about what's going on with our fire service. Go ahead.
Thank you for your presentation and congratulations on your posting, Richard. Just a couple of things. First of all, you started at the end of December, so you missed the fundraising activity, but I think we have to commend the dedication of the fire department with their support of the Elves Club. I believe it was over $16,000. The fire department raised, combined with search and rescue, raised, I think, close to $7,000. So the contribution to that cause by the volunteers in Gibsons is really commendable. On another note, your training facility, in your report, you've mentioned that currently you're without a lease. Now, I understand from staff a number of leases have come up. Is this impacting your training on that site, the absence of the lease?
It's not impacting the training right now, but for future considerations of what's going to happen to that, it would be really good to solidify that. I know the chief's been talking with the decision makers to hopefully have that continue on, but it's a very valuable area for us to continue our training.
Well, I believe staff are aware of your concerns with respect to that lease, so hopefully it'll be dealt with. And the other thing you mentioned was the tower cranes. Now, currently, there's one crane in town that's operated from ground level. So obviously, the only issues with it would be if it were structurally to be compromised. But the crane that I believe that's going up on the other side is operated from above. But the actual contractor, correct me if I'm wrong, is responsible for a safety plan for that. I know from working in the film industry, where you have situations where you might have to rescue someone, you usually look to the nearest resource if you can defer the costs of having that plan in place. So I'm assuming that there aren't really safety concerns involved with respect to those structures, that the cost, should there be an incident, is now going to be borne by the contractor and the crane operator having a safety protocol in place. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So what the requirements for Worksafebc is that whenever a crane op is assembled in operation, that the development company have a rescue plan. And a lot of times they default to fire departments in their local community to do this, and they come up with agreements where the developer will actually put some funds towards that being serviced. Our challenge with the volunteer fire department is having those members that are trained readily available. There is some funding for training for it, which isn't the problem. The challenge for our fire department would have those trained individuals readily available while they have other jobs that they're actively involved in.
It is of a concern, and I know people, when they see these cranes, wonder about being up there. But it's I appreciate the fire department. In some areas they do respond to these, but obviously, as you've expressed, the volunteer nature of our department it's a bit of an onerous task to place on volunteers.
Yeah, it's very difficult because we don't know when they're going to be dealing with that, or when the problem will come up, and so we would have to have our members available. So a lot of departments that do get involved with being involved with the rescue plan have a career department or members that are around 24/7 so that they can be capable of making that rescue. Because you do have to have some specific training around doing those rescues, because you're rescuing someone from a height without a lot of support there.
Thank you very much, Richard.
You're welcome.
Councillor Ludwig.
Yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations on your position, Richard, and welcome to the team.
Thank
I'm
you.
just curious, are you new to the coast or just new to the position?
I've been working as a casual for a year and a half with the fire department.
Okay.
So I've been here for a year and a half. So yes, new. I understand that you can't be really a coast until you've been here for 20 years. So I got a few more years to go.
But you know what a nice community it is. I'm sure
Oh,
you already experienced that a bit. So
yeah, it's fantastic, and we're planning on this being our residence to stay. So that's
fantastic. I just wanted to ask a real quick question. I was curious about the commercial alarms, the increase in commercial alarms during this last quarter. I'm not sure if you know why that is, but I'm wondering if that's pipes as well, if that was blown pipes. I know the library, they blew a pipe and it triggered their alarm, and that's so I'm not sure how that's how that's being recorded.
Yeah, and so that's 100% correct. With this change in weather conditions, it's increasing the number of calls that we've been having for commercial alarms. We do get them regardless, but because of the cold weather, the warming temperature, etc., it's getting our pipes where the water's freezing in there and they're bursting or they're malfunctioning. And so yeah, that's what is increasing those issues right now. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dean Dredd.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Richard, I would like to congratulate you. Welcome to Gibsons and to the Sunshine Coast. And as I was reading the report, it just came up again how not only this report, it's very well written with details, so very informative, but I love that it carries a lot of emotion and sense of pride. So it really transpires when I read it. And to me, this is very valuable. It feels like watching a movie. So I just want to congratulate Chief Rob for that, yourself, obviously, but also make a note because many reporting, it's dry. And this, I look forward to reading. And it's so much detail and you kind of see what's happening. So very well.
Yeah.
I think Chief Rob, eventually he will be able to write novels.
Yeah, he's very good at writing the reports. And I think our fire department is like one big family. And so we get personally involved as well as working together as a good team. And I'm really happy to be a part of this team. It's really I've been really well accepted. So it's really, really great. But thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you again, Richard. The town, people of Gibsons are very proud of their fire department. It provides a tremendous service. It's hard to keep that small town flavor and things that we do here and some of the projects we do, but the fire department with the volunteers is very important to that. I just wanted to ask you a question about the current snow conditions. What have you been seeing out there in terms of your calls? Are you receiving a more increased number of car accidents or any pedestrian vehicle accidents resulting?
As far as the weather conditions and the road conditions, I'm very impressed with the infrastructure that we have here, keeping the main roadways clear. We've had a very slight increase, but not with any personal injuries. And I cross my fingers and say that's with a little bit of luck as well as with our organization, with our infrastructure that's been happening here. But it's something to be we're really aware of. We've got some plans in place and we're developing more plans, ensuring that our emergency vehicles can attend these things and make the roads a little bit safer. Good.
Yeah, and the coordination between yourselves, and if you do come across incidents where there are areas that you feel are difficult, impassable, or could use more service, I mean, our Public Works Department is available to you to give them a call and to work with them on those issues. So appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor.
Okay, and with that, unless there's any further questions, again, welcome and thank you very much for what you do to the community and for your service. And we'll move on to our agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for having me today. I really appreciate it. And it's nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah. Next item on our agenda, we're going to meet more new people. Well, not all new, but one new and a return. So I'll go to 3.2 and introduce the Director of Infrastructure Services first. Mr. Newman.
Thanks, Mayor Beamish. While I get myself organized here, I forgot I was wearing my mask and all sorts of things. Anyway, I see we brought both Kelly and Grace into the council chambers. And so for starters, Kelly is joining us as our new capital projects coordinator. You may recall that we had Shane with us for a short while, and then he moved on into the interior. And so I'm really pleased to have Kelly join us to oversee our capital works program, as well as development, frontage works, and so on. Kelly joins us from the Great White North. She spent time in both White Horse, and Yellowknife, as well as Pickle Lake, which you are, I'm sure, well familiar with. Poke your head in and say hi to Kelly if you're down on the lower floor. And Kelly, I don't know if you want to add anything or not. And we're good. Our other, actually Kelly, along with Grace, brings our department up to its current full quota, and will help us to get a little bit more on track with some of our work. As you're aware, some of our capital works were not done because of not having the right amount of staff. So the other face that joins us, along with the rest of her, is Graceland. And many of you would likely recognize her. Grace was our previous asset management coordinator, and left for a management job in Comox Regional District, and then ultimately came back to the coast to start her own consulting business, which actually she is working both at a consulting and for the regional district over in Comox, and then realized that I was right and that the town of Gibsons actually is the best place to work. And so she was, it was very timely availability because, as you know, we lost Daniel Tardif, our previous manager of maintenance and operations. And Grace had, as well as being a great addition to our department once again, she also has the added benefit of having worked with our crews already, as well as some of our other staff in the treatment plant and so on. So already has a head start on somebody who we would bring in that could, would be new. So I'm anticipating that Grace is going to be bringing in her own particular flavor to the job. It will be different than Daniel's, but no better and no worse. Well, Grace might disagree with that.
Yeah, working, Dave.
but it will, I know that Grace has particular strength that she's interested in pursuing, largely with around the what's the word I'm looking for? I wanted to say the human aspect on relationship building and within our departments. So I am going to hand it over to Grace, let her say her two bits about how she is so pleased to be working with me once again, and also to give you a verbal on the snow removal efforts to date.
Before you do, and Grace, thank you, and Kelly, before you do, I just welcome both of you to our organization and to the teams you're working on. It's great to see you both. And Grace, you kept popping in over the last year, so that it was always great to have that connection with you. And it's really nice to see you back. And Council, I don't know if you want to also reiterate or anybody has any special messages, but Kelly, I know what it's like to work in the north. This is not quite it, but it's close on some nights. It feels like it. So, Councillor Kroll?
Just a question for Kelly, if I may. Other than welcome back, Graceland, it's really great to see you back. But Kelly, Director Newman mentioned Pickle Lake. Now, Pickle Lake, BC or Pickle Lake, Ontario?
Pickle Lake, Ontario.
My uncle used to be the chief ranger. He used to fly out of Pickle Lake.
What's his name?
David Kroll. He's not been with us for some time, but it was always a great place to visit, and I have some very fond memories of Pickle Lake.
Great. That's amazing.
Small world.
Yeah.
Welcome to Gibsons.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I've spent both time in both Yellowknife and Whitehorse. So, yeah. So. Okay, Grace, you're going to give us a bit of an update.
Yes. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. So it's my second week now. First of all, super happy to be back. Thank you for the warm welcome. And yes, Dave, you were right. Gibsons is the best place to work. As far as snow and ice goes, we know, I'm sure you guys know, it's been a really busy last few weeks, and Daniel seemed very happy to be handing it off and getting his evening and weekends back, and he deserves it. So right now, the main focus is on staff safety and public safety, making sure that staff are trained and comfortable on the equipment, offering additional support if they need, and then making sure that we're keeping the public obviously as safe as possible. We're following the policy, the snow and ice policy, to the best of our abilities. It is a tried and true policy, and I appreciate it for its guidance. And beyond that, there's been a lot of, obviously, I think with this kind of weather, the public requests come through, and it is some difficult conversations with the public of how we make the decisions and how we allocate our very fixed resources. For your own knowledge, we are running low on salt right now. There's a province-wide shortage, but we do have sand. And with that sand, there comes the need for street sweeping down the line. So that's also lined up. There's one thing, an improvement opportunity that we see is ordering more sand in the off season. So I've got a note for summer purchasing of salt to make sure that we've got enough for next year and we can get it a bit cheaper in the off season. Also to show some appreciation for the crews. They've been out. One of our crew members was out from 9 p.m. until 2 p.m. the next day. And only because we sent him home, he would have just kept going. And they've been dedicated, they've been supportive. I've obviously been a little bit wide-eyed being thrown into this, and I could not do it without their support and their professionalism. I could not say enough nice things about them right now. They take a lot of pride in their work, and they're doing a really good job out there. And to show our appreciation, both to the parks crew and to the public works crew, we have 2 cards at Town Hall. So if you're able to, I think it would mean a lot to have your signatures on that card and just express Town Hall and Mayor and Council appreciation for the work that they're doing and keeping us safe. Any questions?
How long will those cards be available, Grace?
Can we say till the end of the week?
Okay, good, because I won't be back in town until Wednesday. Yeah,
Okay.
late, so Thursday in the office. So I do see there are questions. I'm going to go to Councillor Kroll and then Councillor Ladwig and Councillor D'Andrade. I see, oh, your hand's there too. Yeah, so go in that direction. Okay.
Not so much a question, Graceland. I just wanted to, first of all, commend staff for the job that they've done with the snow. Speaking to different people going around the community, everyone notes the difference as soon as you step out of the town of Gibsons in the difference in road conditions. And I realize there's some real challenges with people parking along the streets and, you know, them having to plow around vehicles and one thing and another. So certainly take the opportunity of signing the card, but, you know, if you would please extend, and I've asked people who have commented to me how impressed they are. I've asked them to actually, you know, drop a note to staff because it is important that they know that the work they're doing is appreciated. It's not going unnoticed. So, you know, congratulations on the new position, although it be a bit of trial by fire. Just, you know, absolute, you know, kudos to staff for the great job they're doing.
Thank you so much, Councillor Cole.
Yeah, Councillor Ladwig.
It's basically just a ditto for Councillor Kroll, but yeah, I just really wanted to congratulate both of you on your new positions. It's great to see some smiling young women in these roles. I love it. So congratulations. And I also wanted to recognize the Public Works efforts over this Christmas holiday for their efforts in the snow removal. I live on Gibsons Way, and like I was really touched to see their trucks going up and down at like 4 a.m, keeping the roads clear all Christmas. My daughter's best friend's dad works for Public Works. I thought of him often, knowing that he'd probably out there on one of the trucks. So yes, please do. I will come down and sign a card, and please do pass along our sincere appreciation for all their work this winter holiday. Great.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ladwig. May I speak to that, Mr. Mayor? Thank you. Thanks so much, Councillor Ladwig. Also, I want to, one of the things that Daniel did, and it was a very early effort from him, was actually to join forces of all of the departments for snow and ice removal and salting. So it's Public Works, Parks, and an operator from the wastewater treatment plant who are all on call and have all contributed to this. So really pick any guy or girl off the street, and they probably helped out. So also to Councillor Cole's mention that stopping and saying thank you or encouraging the public to thank them, I think it means a lot.
Councillor Deirdre?
Thank you. Yes, I would like to do the same. Congratulate you both on the new job. And and commend. It was clear to see the difference. It was really clear. And I also understand, it's not that Gibsons has, super equipment to do this, easily. So we all could see the effort. And I have to say, I got stuck in SCRD roads, but I did not get stuck in Gibson's roads. So that was a big difference. I could totally see it. I left like with confidence going around the town and really understanding. And I think the community understands it. We know that it's a small town, and we could see the effort, and it's much appreciated, especially with the landscape that we have, right? It can get quite dangerous. So yeah. Thank you very much for the infrastructure department, yes, and for your efforts.
Councillor Crowell?
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. And to Graceland's comment about the initiative that was taken about utilizing our resources, we're a small town, we have limited human resources, and I think it was definitely a proactive move in training people in various departments to operate the equipment of other departments. So if you're not on a lawnmower in the summer, you're on a snowplow in the winter. So it was a really good proactive move. And I think other municipalities, on some of the committees I sit on outside of here, I've mentioned, when people were talking about all the problems we've had with snow, and I said, a few years ago, we did this inter-training between departments, and they said, oh, it's such a simple solution to a major staffing problem. And also, I think people enjoy the variety of being able to operate in other wheelhouses. So, you're not just stuck in the same old position all the time. Variety is the spice of life, as they say. So kudos to that initiative.
Yeah. Mr. Newman?
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. I've been very pleased with what's been going on out there, and both Grace and I have been in communication a lot. She doesn't live within the town boundaries, and so we'll coordinate on what's it doing now. But one thing I wanted to mention, that it's worth spreading the word when you do get an opportunity. We don't know what this winter or the remainder of this winter is going to be bringing. The delivery of salt to BC or to Lafarge, where we get it out of Vancouver, is anticipated to be sometime in February. So we've still got almost 3 weeks of January left before we will have an opportunity to get more salt. So we are rationing ours. We're hoping that it will last us all the way through, but we are, or Grace is making, and her crews are making sure that we keep enough salt in reserves to be able to do the hills. And also, just a note about the sand is that it's a certain type of sand, so harder to get hold of. And I think it's going to be interesting moving forward, if you want to use that word, because we're getting thrown all sorts of different weather situations, and just because this was a particularly cold and snowy winter, it doesn't mean next winter is going to be the same. And so trying to find that balance of how much materials to keep on site is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a trial by fire for Grace, and she certainly rose to the challenge and handled things very professionally. So,
I think those of us who have been out searching for salt know what the problem is, because there's none of the traditional places that have salt bags left for us to purchase, and that's something we need to look at. So, Councillor D'Andrade?
Thank you, Mayor. It's just a suggestion. You might have, the director might have thought about that, or Bracely, but it's just like perhaps whether we put this in the newsletter, we sent an email to the email list. I think it's very important, because if you're not aware, suddenly you're seeing weather sand, and then obviously the comments start, what is this happening? And I think it's important, not everybody knows the situation. I wasn't aware, for example. I think it's just good to communicate with the public if possible.
Yeah, I think that Elizabeth does do that. She did put out something there very recently about the snow
okay.
and
Awesome.
issues. So that I think that's one thing we need to acknowledge as well. Is a good job that the staff are doing, but also the majority of our residents are also out there clearing the sidewalks and keeping things safe. There are some that are not, and I think our bylaw officer is aware of those and is dealing with those, and they are being brought up to speed on their responsibilities in that area. So, Councillor Crowell?
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. You sort of took the words out of my mouth, but
you're going to say them anyway.
Elizabeth has done a really good job on putting out information on the responsibility of property owners to clear their sidewalks and things. And I think our bylaw officer has been on top of things, because I did a drive around with her after the first snow we had, and she noted a number of areas that were non-compliant, and I subsequent drive around with the second snowfall, those areas that were in question the first time were cleared. So I think people get a little lax and they forget, well, my mother used to say, quick, get out and shovel the snow before it melts. But in the meantime, it had packed down and it became very difficult to shovel. So, but often that happens, it gets packed down and it gets difficult to shovel, and people with plastic shovels really can't cope. But between staff and bylaw, I think they've done an amazing job, considering, it's not our typical weather.
No, it's not, and but it may become. There are communities like Victoria, for example, who don't normally have a snow removal budget, so they just rely on prior year surpluses because they don't. It's so inconsistent to be able to project the cost of snow removal, so it becomes a real challenge. So one thing I want to note with council is that today we are seeing this item 3.2 is actually a new item on our agenda, and that is introduction of new staff. And this is something we want to do in the future, so that we are all aware of who our new staff are, so that when we bump into the supermarket or on the streets, that we can say hi. And we're because it's for the most part, our faces are well known in our communities, but we don't know all of our employees, and especially now with COVID, we're not meeting in the same room with them. So I really want to make an effort, and I've asked that this be part of the onboarding of staff, that they be introduced to council at committee, so that you get a chance to welcome them and to hear about their backgrounds and the very varied backgrounds as they come to us and experiences. So we look forward to meeting other staff, and it is not just the managers we want to meet. We want to meet everybody. So it may take time, but the reason we've asked for this at committee is that so we don't keep people over and expect them to come back or come onto a meeting at 7 o'clock at night. We'll do it in an afternoon forum. So it gives us all an opportunity to recognize and celebrate our new hires. And we really appreciate you being here. Thank you. So, with that said, does anybody have anything you want to add before we go on to the next item on our agenda? And that's inquiries, and you might want to stick around in case we get any inquiries about snow removal. So we'll see. So corporate officer, back to you.
Yes, if anyone has any comments or questions they would like to address to council, please raise your hand using the raise hand button on your screen. And I think we're down only to our communications coordinator in our attendees list, so I don't see
You
anyone.
got a tough question?
She didn't raise her hand.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We will then move to adjournment. Our next meeting of the committee of the whole is next week, Tuesday, January 18th. And as we start to roll into this year, we'll be going into regular meetings and budget meetings. I asked today that a special council meeting be arranged for February to talk about the code of conduct. We can't let that drop. We want to make sure that's done. So you will be getting a meeting request. I think it's the second Tuesday in February. And we'll do it as a special council meeting so that we can actually adopt the code of conduct at that meeting and not have to refer it to another meeting. So it's long overdue, and we cannot, we do not want to ignore it any longer. So that being said, would somebody care to move adjournment? Councillor D'Andrade, Councillor Kroll, thank you all very much. I will see you again. We will see you back here at 7 o'clock. Take care. All the best. Thank you. And thanks, staff, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.